Good morning, everyone. I hope you're all well on this nice sunny day. Have you seen yet the State of the Union speech made by Donald Trump a couple of days ago now? If you haven't, I haven't actually seen it in full yet, but I plan to. And there is a particular clip from this that's been doing the rounds on social media, and I'll send it out on Twitter in a couple of minutes. There's a clip from this in which Trump announces that the unemployment rate among Black Americans is at its lowest ever recorded rate. You can see the camera panning around to the audience, most likely Democrats. And there are some faces in the audience not just not pleased by this announcement, but distinctly displeased by this announcement. It's quite amusing to watch. Now, these are no doubt people who will be racial justice warriors who are bang on about how the disadvantage Black people face in America. But when some good news comes, they're not pleased about it. And there's a couple of reasons for this. And the first one is the victim industry. And the left relies on a very black and white shape of the world, which is the oppressor and the oppressed. And they usually designate one of these based on skin color. So inevitably, the white person is the oppressor and the Black person is the oppressed. And they like to keep it this way. So in order to have oppressed Black people, they must make sure that Black people are poor and disadvantaged, or their entire industry is under threat. And it is an industry. There's a lot of money being made on the racism industry. So when good news comes, they are upset by this. They don't want Black people not to be victims any longer. And the second reason is essentially that they cannot admit at all that the system of people like Donald Trump might actually be achieving good things. The capitalist system, in other words, they can never ever admit might create wealth and drag people out of poverty. Whereas their system, which they insist upon, and it's the only system that they will allow to make any changes, no matter how awful those changes are, their own system is far more likely to drag people into poverty. And they try it over and over again, and always with the same result. So they cannot admit or acknowledge that free markets, espoused by people like Donald Trump, actually create wealth. Now, the media has, naturally enough, been jumping all over this, claiming that it wasn't Trump responsible for this low rate of unemployment among Black Americans. This was, of course, started by Obama. Of course it was. But there is an article in The Hill this morning, which I'll send around as well, which they probably can't deny quite as easily. This one talks about the American economy in general, and particularly about tax cuts that Trump has introduced. And it says here that nearly every day, another major American company announces bonuses, pay raises, benefit hikes, and the like. It goes on to say that Americans are feeling the love too. Today, 66% of the public ranks the economy as good or great, a complete turnaround from the gloom workers were feeling in the late Bush and Obama years. So in other words, once again, it has shown that the economic ideology of people like Donald Trump is actually creating wealth and bringing people out of poverty, and it will continue to do so. Their entire ideology is bound up in the idea that a white male millionaire can never, ever be right. And they are more than happy to sacrifice people, more than happy to keep people in poverty, more than happy to keep people suffering, just as long as Donald Trump isn't right about anything. They are essentially driven by hatred. They are essentially driven by ignorance. They are completely married to an ideology, and they will stay married to that ideology no matter how catastrophic the results. You see similar with open border rights. No matter how much violence, no matter how much terror it brings, they are wedded to the utopia of open borders and completely reject any evidence that proves them wrong. These people must be kept out of power. People who have such a fragile link with anything resembling reality must be kept out of power. What works, we should do. What makes life better, we should do. It's common sense. And if it works, if Donald Trump's way brings people out of poverty, then they have to admit and acknowledge that Donald Trump might be right. I think that's it for today. Oh, I can't be here tomorrow as I've got an interview in London at midday. But I'll be back on Monday where I want to update on a few things that we've got going on. Oh, and finally, to those who wrote to me to ask me about my dogs, they're absolutely fine. They were in the vets yesterday merely for their annual jabs and a quick checkup, and they are absolutely in good health and happiness. Thank you for asking. Have a good weekend. I'll see you all on Monday at 11. Take care.
We will make America great again.